Welcome to the Christian Pure podcast, where we empower you with practical tools to live a pure Christian life. Today, we discuss astrology. Is astrology a sin according to the Bible? That's a complicated question that requires considering both what is said in the Bible and how it is interpreted. This guide will cover the various passages of the Bible that discuss astrology and its meanings, so you can make an informed decision about whether or not to practice astrology. But first, here's a summary. In short, even the mere act of believing in zodiac signs is prohibited. You may wonder why God would not want you to have a belief in astrology. In His scripture, God has made it clear how He feels about us seeking guidance and clarity from any other source except the Bible. When we believe in astrology, we essentially believe in an astrologist's interpretation, not God's. Can Christians believe in zodiac signs? What is the meaning of the zodiac sign of a person? Are there any astrological signs in Christianity? Is it right to believe in astrology? When we read about zodiac signs and astrology, these questions come to mind. This article will discuss these topics and their relevance to Christianity. What are zodiac signs? The History Explained. As many of us are already aware, astrology is a very ancient Babylonian practice that has existed for centuries. The term zodiac comes from Greek culture and generally means sculpted animal figure. Also, the order of the zodiac signs originated from this period. In astrology matters, the zodiac represents the belt of the heavens that includes all the positions of the sun, moon, and planets. The zodiac is divided into 12 astrological signs: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Before the Greeks, the Babylonians had already divided the zodiac into 12 signs around 1500 BC. While the names were not identical, they resemble the terms of the 12 zodiac signs we use today. Back then, some words they used included the Great Twins, the Lion, the Scales, etc. Later in the ancient Greek period, the Greeks settled on the 12 star signs we recognize today. They named these astrological signs after constellations and matched them with dates based on the apparent relationship between their positions in the sky and the sun. One astronomer, Ptolemy, made astrological signs more popular as they are known today. Ptolemy wrote a book on the history of Western astrology that shed more light on today's zodiac signs. During this period, the ancient Greek period, the first day of spring was considered to begin as soon as the sun appeared in the constellation Aries. This point was seen as the beginning of the year's circuit. Astrologists believe that their belief in zodiac signs gives them a good understanding of the influence of planets and stars. Consequently, these astrologists believe that their knowledge of the stars and planets can help predict and affect people's destinies. Astrology entails forecasting future events and experiences that people may go through by observing and interpreting the stars. Closely related to this concept is divination. Divination refers to seeking knowledge of future unknown events using supernatural means. The practice of astrology usually uses the 12 zodiac signs, where each character has distinct features, unique strengths and weaknesses, and specific desires. In addition, astrologists usually analyze the forecasts and projections about the planets, sun, and moon on the ecliptic during birth. What does the Bible say about astrology and zodiac signs? The Bible has a lot to say about the stars. The main message of the Bible is that God created the stars, and they are a manifestation of His power and majesty. Psalm 8:3 and 19:1 state that the heavens are God's handiwork, while Psalm 147:4 states that God is the one that has all the stars numbered and named. The Bible teaches that God arranged all the stars into recognizable patterns or groups that we call constellations. It mentions 3 stars in the constellations: the Orion, the Bear, Ursa Major, and the Crooked Serpent, or Draco in Job 9:09, 26:13, 38, 31, 32, and also in Amos 5:8. The Bible also references the star group called the Pleiades, or the 7 stars. It says God is the one who fastens the bands of these constellations and holds them together. He also has the power to bring these constellations forth, each in its unique season. In Job 38:32, another reference to the zodiac signs is made when the Mazzaroth is mentioned. Mazzaroth is usually translated to mean constellations of the zodiac. Do you believe that God blesses givers? Please head to christianpure.com, donate to support us.
The meaning behind the zodiac constellations and their accompanying theories have also played a significant role in displaying that some aspects of the Bible are closely related to our common perceptions regarding astrology and zodiac signs. For example, Leo's constellation is usually considered a celestial representation of the Lion of the tribe of Judah, alluded to in Revelation 5:5. At the same time, Virgo is widely viewed as a reminder of the Virgin Mary who gave birth to Christ. The Bible states that the stars, sun, and moon were meant to represent signs and seasons. This was referenced in Genesis 1:14 and was essentially intended to help us to mark time. In addition, these signs also represented navigational indicators that famous men always relied on to find their way around the globe. Remember the 3 wise men following the star in Matthew 2:1-10? God used the stars to demonstrate his promise to Abraham that he would provide him with innumerable seeds, Genesis 15:5. Therefore, every time Abraham looked up at the night sky, he was constantly reminded of God's faithfulness and kindness. Another aspect in the Bible that brought out the importance of the stars as a form of communication between God and his people relates to the final judgment of the earth. The Bible highlights that final judgment will be accompanied by major astronomical events relating to the stars. Isaiah 13:9-10, Joel 3:15, Matthew 24:29. In the Bible, astrology is viewed as the influence of the stars and planets to control human destiny, a practice that the Bible paints as false. A good example is when God's prophet Daniel was ashamed of the Babylonian court's royal astrologers, as seen in Daniel 1:20. These astrologers were powerless to interpret the king's dream, Daniel 2:27, effectively. As a result, God considers astrologers among the people who will be burned as stubble, Isaiah 47:13-14. The Bible strongly forbids astrology as it considers it a form of divination, as the Word of God puts it in Deuteronomy 18:10-14. Instead, God requires us to use the stars to keep track of time and view them as a constant reminder of God's faithful nature. We are strongly encouraged to remember that true wisdom comes from God, not the stars, James 1:5. Is participating in zodiac signs a sin? Many Christians have this nagging question. Should they believe in zodiac signs? The answer is a big no. They should not believe in the horoscope because those who practiced astrology in the Old Testament were always put to shame by God's prophets. The New Testament also refers to astrology and the horoscope as a prohibited practices. Apostle Paul refers to astrology and belief in the horoscope as an act that must be expelled and repented. By believing in the zodiac or astrological signs, you seek an astrologist's interpretation of the stars and constellations regarding your destiny and personality traits. Unfortunately, this is a massive transgression against God's will and his purpose for your life. This is brought out when God commanded the Israelites to shun all Canaanite practices, including divination. Examples of such Canaanite practices, fortune-telling, astrology, and sorcery that were considered an abomination to the Lord are highlighted in Deuteronomy 18:9-12. Acts 16:16-24 discusses this, when Paul casts a demonic spirit out of a servant girl possessed by the divination spirit. She was practicing divination fortune-telling and had brought her owners a lot of money. It was demons that gave her supernatural insight she used to affect other people's lives. To save the believers from such practices, Paul told the church to eliminate everything related to the abominable practices. As a result, those engaging in sorcery, divination, and fortune-telling brought their books and burned them for everyone to see. After that, God was able to continue his beautiful works through them. Participating in the beliefs and acts of zodiac signs is simply partaking in astrology, a practice that the Bible condemns and God considers evil. What about zodiac personality types? Scientific research has shown that many people's personalities vary with birth season. The researchers claim that these traits may not be so clear when analyzed in an individual, but will be very clear when averaging personality traits across a large group born at the same time of year. Psychologists have discovered that certain personality traits are connected more with specific birth months. For example, those born in January and February tend to be more creative and have a higher likelihood of developing schizophrenia than people born at any other time of year. In addition, people born in odd-numbered months tend to have a more extroverted personality than those born in even-numbered months.
It's possible that the inventors of astrology noticed these patterns and tried to codify them into a system. So, while there may be a tenuous connection to personality types being affected by the time you were born, this is a different concept than using astrology to predict your future and guide your life choices. A conversation about the relationship between your zodiac signs and personality traits is not sinful. The only thing you have to remember and recognize is that God is the sole provider of your life's direction. The popularity of zodiac signs shows how lost people have become. Most American adults generally self-identify as Christians. However, many of these Christians also hold New Age beliefs that include reincarnation, astrology, fortune tellers, sorcerers, palm readers, psychics, and the presence of spiritual energy found in physical objects like mountains or trees. Many Americans who are religiously unaffiliated also hold many of these beliefs. Overall, approximately 6 in 10 American adults believe in at least one of these New Age beliefs. In addition, an estimated 4 in 10 adult Americans believe in psychics, and that spiritual energy can be felt in physical objects. On the other hand, roughly 33% believe in reincarnation, and 29% believe in astrology. Americans who consider themselves spiritual but not religious also tend to believe in at least one New Age belief. Roughly 3/4 of U.S. adults in this group hold one or more New Age beliefs. A shocking 6 in 10 believe spiritual energy can be felt in physical objects, and 54% believe in psychics. In addition, of those who claim to be religious and spiritual, 65% believe in at least one New Age belief. Gender, age, and other demographic factors are also heavily associated with New Age beliefs. For example, women are more likely than men to identify with a religion and engage in religious practices. Women are also more likely to hold New Age beliefs and have stronger beliefs in psychics, reincarnation, and astrology than men. In general, 7 in 10 women believe strongly in at least one New Age belief, compared to just 55% of men. God doesn't want you to believe in zodiac signs. As much as you may not be a full-on astrologist yourself, even believing in zodiac signs is prohibited. You may wonder why God would not want you to think in your zodiac sign. In His scripture, God has made it clear how He feels about us seeking guidance and clarity from any other source except the Bible. When we believe in zodiac signs, we essentially believe in an astrologist's interpretation, not God's. We depend on the alignment of the stars and planets to affect and direct our personality or future. In His Word, Deuteronomy 18:10, God clearly states that we should not use divination or sorcery, but instead rely on Him to understand humanity better and His will.
Perfect.
God created us with passion and a purpose, and He is the one we should seek for answers to life's questions. We should not rely on the heavens, stars, planets, or people's interpretation of them, but on Him directly to offer us direction. God's invisible attributes are made known through His creation, as in Romans 1. But it is not up to us to interpret them for our futures using His designs. He strictly forbids worshiping the heavens and predicting future events. When you consult with spiritualists or mediums, you consult with those who are essentially dedicated to other spirits. We know from the Bible that these aren't spirits who serve the one true God. Therefore, you should not participate in any astrology. According to the Bible, we should avoid all forms of evil because Jesus has better plans and a higher purpose for us. Therefore, seek God before all else and know yourself. Your identity is an endeavor you should only carry out through God and Jesus alone. Why it matters. Believing in your zodiac sign or those of others is a false way of finding out one's personality traits. As per the scriptures, Christians need to be aware that this is a sin. As Christians, we are highly discouraged from engaging in all acts of fortune-telling, astrology, or reading of the stars. It makes no difference whether you need to understand yourself or others better. It does not matter whether you are tired of assuming things and need accurate explanations regarding how things work. The acts of divination are horrific and should be avoided. Granted, we always get carried away because of our insecurities and need for control, making us want to know what the future holds. However, using these acts to quench these needs takes away our trust in God's role in our life. It also erodes our faith and belief that God will give us a promising future and hope, as in Jeremiah 29:11.
Therefore, believing in zodiac signs is a part of astrology and is considered wrong in God's eyes. When we believe in zodiac signs, there is usually selective attention and selective recalling of things. For example, if you visit an astrologist or fortune teller while reading your future, they typically mention many things that can occur in your future. However, you will only focus on the things that happen, and not those that fail to materialize to make you believe they are telling the truth. We will face the consequences when we go against God by trying to do things with our strength. Spiritual powers characterize the world of astrology, and as the good book says, we are not fighting against flesh, but principalities and powers. As much as some astrological gives you readings and insight that matches your personality, the fact remains that it is a dirty and evil practice. Closing thoughts. The Bible has shown that God created the stars and the universe to serve as time indicators and not to be worshipped. We also see Jesus, disciples, and prophets speak against divination and sorcery. Therefore, any attempt to use God's creation, such as the stars and planets, to discover ourselves and our future, are against what God has created His creations for. Furthermore, it takes away our faith and trust in God's ability to care for us and direct our future. Therefore, this practice is a sin against God. Frequently asked questions: are there any scientific studies that support astrology? First of all, it's worth noting that astrology is not generally accepted within the scientific community. As far as any scientific evidence goes, several studies have been done on the topic, but none of them have proven the accuracy of astrological predictions. Here are some key points to consider. Many of the studies conducted so far have had inconclusive results. There has never been any evidence presented to show a direct correlation between human behavior and planetary movements. Most of what we know about astrology comes from anecdotal accounts and personal experiences. However, despite all this, it's impossible to disprove astrology wholly. After all, many people still follow their zodiac signs and report positive outcomes. So the fact remains that even though there isn't enough scientific evidence to back up the claims made by astrologers entirely, plenty of people still believe in it and find value in it anyway. It's up to each Christian to decide whether or not they want to believe in zodiac signs and utilize astrological guidance when making decisions. Only you can decide what feels right based on your spiritual beliefs and convictions. Is there a difference between astrology and astronomical science? At the core of this question lies an essential difference between astrology and astronomical science. Astronomical science focuses on the physical characteristics, motions, and evolution of celestial bodies such as planets, stars, and galaxies. On the other hand, astrology consists of ancient beliefs about how these bodies influence people's lives. It is essential to understand that astrology and astronomical science involve understanding the same celestial bodies from different perspectives. Astrologers look at how these bodies affect people's lives, while astronomers study the physical characteristics and movements of these objects in space. No matter what you decide about astrology and Christianity, it is clear that there is a fundamental distinction between astrological beliefs and astronomical knowledge. Therefore, it is up to each individual to determine which path they want to pursue in their spiritual journey. Is it possible to follow your horoscope without breaking Christian principles? First, We must understand that astrology and horoscopes are not just about predicting the future. They are more about self-awareness and understanding how different planetary influences can affect us. In other words, they tell us more about ourselves than what will happen in the future. Now, a lot needs to be considered when it comes to following our horoscopes without breaking Christian principles. For example, if your horoscope suggests something that goes against biblical teachings, you should avoid it because it could lead you to sin. On the other hand, if your horoscope encourages you to exercise or take up a hobby, then there's no problem with following its advice. Ultimately, it is up to us how much value we put into these readings and whether or not they will help or hinder our spiritual journey. We need to be mindful that although astrology may offer insight into ourselves and our lives, it should never replace the guidance of God alone. So if you're interested in learning more about yourself through astrology, go ahead and explore. But always keep God at the center of your life and decisions. Please support us by giving at christianpure.com. Donate.
What are the potential dangers of believing in astrology? Let me tell you, astrology can lead to a false sense of security. It can make us believe that we can predict the future or control our circumstances. When this isn't the case, it can lead us away from faith in God and His plan for us. It also threatens our freedom by encouraging us to become dependent on something that isn't real. We may think that if we don't follow the dictates of astrology, then bad things will happen to us. This is not true. God has given us free will and the ability to choose ourselves. He wants us to trust Him rather than rely on an outside source of guidance and protection. Only one truly knows what's best for us regarding spiritual matters, God Himself. So instead of putting your faith in something that's ultimately unreliable, put your trust in Him and let His perfect love guide you every step. He won't ever leave or forsake you. You can be sure of that. Is astrology a form of idolatry? Many people say yes because they believe that they rely on something other than God to know their future or shape their lives by reading about the stars and planets. In addition, some people also worry that by believing in zodiac signs, they are trusting in a power greater than themselves, which could be seen as a form of idolatry. On the other hand, some Christians don't believe that astrology is a sin because it doesn't take away from one's faith in Jesus Christ. They point out that simply reading horoscopes isn't necessarily worshiping idols or spirits. It's just like reading any other literature with no religious connotations. Ultimately, it's up to each individual to decide whether astrology is a good part of their beliefs. We must never forget that our faith should be grounded firmly in Jesus Christ alone, and nothing else, not even our understanding, should replace Him as the foundation for our beliefs. As long as you keep this at the forefront of your mind, you will have no problem determining whether astrology fits within your spiritual life. Thank you for listening to the end. Please support us by giving at christianpure.com, donate and subscribe for more episodes. God bless you and have a wonderful day.